we want to be right now. I'm going to focus this question towards Jody, and then everybody can chime in on this one. But where does Canadian hip-hop culture have left to grow to be considered a viable industry in any form across Canada? Is it just the fact that and what I'm talking about now is basically questioning the popularity of hip-hop versus the effectiveness of hip-hop.
Where does Canadian hip hop have left to grow?
Yeah, or prove.
You know what? Like I think that the talent is definitely there. We've seen it through a couple of successes in Canada. But I mean, it's not really going to get to that next level unless we have those types of mediums in place where we can take this whole thing to a total next level. You know what I mean? Like. Sure, we have the Flow 93.5 or whatever, you know what I mean? Like those so-called like urban stations and stuff. But I mean, at one point in time, we had stations across the country. You know what I mean? And like slowly, they all switched. You know, and I in my opinion, because I really got into this whole thing just to try to help build Canadian hip hop, and I wanted to see it come to that level where we're almost like the United States in the sense that, where like every city has like 2 urban stations. You know what I mean? That you can switch on at any time of the day and listen to the dopest mix show in the city. But we don't have that. You know what I mean? We try to do our best with what we have, with the stations that we have in place right now, but, I don't think that it's really reaching out like that. You know what I mean? And I think that the music that people are coming up with these days, like the talent is definitely there. It's just the mediums to ingrain it into the people's heads and kind of like build on its popularity aren't there. Like until, I mean like cats like us here, like, getting older and stuff, and I think we're in these types of positions that we can take certain steps to change this whole development thing. But I think it's important for the people listening, like for the younger folks and stuff, to aspire to be those kind of like those people, to be those heads of those conglomerates, to become media empires for urban music, and I think only until that point we're gonna stay kind of generally slowly changing as we're doing right now.
All right, I'll let Jesse add into that and then we'll jump to it.
There's a lot of really good things that Jody just said, and I just wanted to like add to it because we're talking about whether or not urban music and culture has influence. Go to any club, any bar, in any of the major spots in the city. Walk inside, look at the demographic, whatever demographic it is, listen to the music that's being played. A lot of the times it's top 10, top 20, top 40, top 100, whatever. But of those top 100 songs, a lot of them come from the music and culture we're talking about right now. So the question of influence isn't really there. There is influence. What I think needs to happen, to Jody's point, is there needs to be more conduits between both worlds. So there needs to be more people who get both sides of it and can kind of like merge the two to make sense to both worlds, to make sense to A and make sense to B. And I think that that's what we're missing right now. I cannot tell you how many times I'll go to a meeting or another city to go and do different things and look around in the room and like I'm the only guy. What needs to happen is there needs to be more young guys like myself and the guys in the room and the females in the room that come up and say, okay, you know what? There's enough cats out there rapping, there's enough cats out there dancing, there's enough cats doing that. We need to be on the other side of it because we get it. We need to be able to give these people opportunities. That's what we're missing right now. We're heavy on one side and weak on the other. So there's all this talent out there, whether it be design, whether it be music, whether it be whatever, and no one in the boardrooms knows who those people are. That's the big issue.
The revolution was done. The revolution was done, I think, with the record companies a little bit.
Right.
There was a time when these conversations were being had, like, there's no radio station, it's all cause radio. The record companies don't have anybody in there that know anything. That's kind of changed a little bit. You had people come in there, do their thing, and now a lot of them are bouncing out of them as well. But my point is, it never really went. I don't really think the revolution happened outside of record company world. I don't think it really happened in other corporate Canada companies, you know. And I think that if there's anything to inspire listeners right now, be it, you know, a kid that's listening right now, like, don't inspire to be a rapper, man. Be, you know, inspired to like run Coca-Cola, and so that you can, you know, sponsor the Styles Award, so that you can sponsor an artist that Jody's pushing. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's the type of stuff that we need to do. And it's funny. I went to this. I'll make this really quick, but I'll never forget this keynote address that KRS-One did at Canadian Music Week a couple of years ago, and he made a really good point, and it made me feel like he basically came down to the realization that 20 years ago, you know, America was fighting revolution. And, you know, he had Absolute come to them back then asking to, you know, use one of his songs. And he was like, F you guys, you know, you don't understand my culture, I'm not sharing my culture with you. And then fast forward now, you know, he had somebody do the same thing, and he realized that the person that was coming to him now knew his catalog, was a fan of his stuff, could speak the same language as him, and wanted to use his brand because he understood the brand. And it made him say, you know what, no, there's no revolution to fight anymore. You know, it's like we basically, you know, went in and infiltrated the whole system.
Yeah.
I don't feel we've done that in Canada.
Now, given
How much time do we have for this?
that's something that we want to talk about. This is definitely, and this panel, Toronto, is one of those panels where we could go for hours, but we do only have about 10 more minutes in this conversation. What I do want to get to is setting a table for further conversations. Now, Click makes a very good point. Given the population of Canada, given the fact that we know that we represent the largest landmass of any country in the world, but our population doesn't quite spread throughout that, and also understanding that the population is very diverse in that very sparse spreading of people that are involved. Does hip-hop culture have to establish a near dominant penetration across this country to be considered viable? And is that even a realistic goal for us? Should we be allocating our resources somewhere else? As just a...
Really, I think it's happening.
Okay.
Straight up, I think it's happening, and like that revolution I'm talking about is happening with the people that are in this room, the people that's on the boards right now,
Right.
the people, the artists, and really it's to the point where it's like they're gonna have to come to our party now because it's happening, and you got to give props to guys like Drake, who, you know, and Cardi, and guys like that and Melanie Fiona, who are waving a Canadian flag.
Right.
Like, that's really what it comes down to is, you know, not to diss any other Canadian artists that have had success in America, but the urban ones, I don't think they've really waved the flag so much as I see these guys waving the flag.
Mm-hmm.
And just to add on to Click's point and stuff, like, look at Julie Black, you know what I mean? Like, you know, she's on E-Top, like, you know what I mean? Like, she's on there and stuff, like, there's a prime example of infiltration right there. You know, like, they loved her spunk so much that they gave her segments and stuff, let her interview Jay-Z. Good Lord, Jay-Z, man. Like, that's prime infiltration right there. But I really, like, the way I picture it, I don't want to be the infiltrator. I don't want to be that ninja, you know what I mean? Like, I want to be that person that, you know, like, we have something to call our own. We have a station to call our own, to foster this whole urban community and stuff. So, I don't know, that's the way I see it anyway.
I like the way the conversation is going, and definitely I see where we are now.